program is scheduled for one fall.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
Good evening, ladies and sirs. You're listening to the only programme on radio that knows exactly what The Rock is cooking. It turns out to be quite a nice beetroot risotto. Who knew? This programme is scheduled for 1-4. My name is SilentMark and I am the MC on this evening's show. And today's show is actually sponsored by Your Mama's Steamed Crabs. She's got them. Have you? So, ladies and sirs, introducing first. Journalist, Beyond Radio's very own resident, author of Holy Grail, and a man whose finishing move is the disappointment. It's Greg the Truth Lambert.
Finishing move is the disappointment.
Yeah.
What on earth does that mean?
What doesn't it mean, sir?
You just make these. You just randomly come up with things to embarrass me, don't you, Mark?
Pretty much, yeah. Had a good week?
Yeah, I would say so.
Good.
Yeah. This is one of the highlights of my week, to come in here and educate you and the listeners of Beyond Radio about the wacky world of professional wrestling.
It's very much appreciated.
And to get to talk about it for an hour is rather gratifying, I have to say.
I can tell. So, with that in mind, that was great, wasn't it? Introducing his opponent. Human, co-creator and host of Another Monday Evening Show, Alpha Omega Wrestling interviewer, and spandex enthusiast, Mr. Evil Lewis.
Hello!
How's it going, sir?
It's going very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Had a good week?
It's been pretty good, yeah, really good. A week of watching all of the wrestling in the world.
All of the wrestling.
And casting my evil eye upon said wrestling.
Well, let's go straight
good.
into the evil eye then, shall we? What's been
I
on your
want to
evil
go
eye
back
this
to
week?
I want to go back to Greg's finishing move,
Okay,
actually.
go on then.
The overriding sense of disappointment.
Yes.
Actually, no, I'm going to leave that one there. Okay. I'm actually going to leave that one there. Because I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a good mood.
Why are you in a good mood? What's wrong with
I
you?
don't know. I'm
Doesn't suit you.
Well, we've got time. We've got time for it to change.
You've been drinking whiskey by a swimming pool, by any chance?
I have not, no.
As the wrestlers do these days when they have a dispute, it seems.
Yeah,
that
they
want
do.
to resolve. They drink whiskey shots by a swimming pool.
What do they call it? It was the Henning shot.
Did they call it it was Ethan Carter III and Drew Galloway on this week's episode of Impact.
Which
before they
apparently,
fought
does
each
that
other.
involve like chucking your head back and gargling on it for a bit?
Yeah. It's named after Mr. Perfect, I think.
Because that's how you appreciate a fine single malt.
Well, without a doubt.
Yeah.
When I went to the Lakes Distillery recently, if I'd have done that, they'd have thrown me out.
What, even if you told them it was a Henning shot? They'd have been like, oh, if it's a Henning shot, then you're okay.
I don't think they'd have known what it meant. Particularly if you say Henning, because that's not how you pronounce it.
Henning? I don't know, God.
Hennig.
I'm not as old as you, Greg.
I remember that. One of the very first shows I ever saw. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, 1989 at SummerSlam against the Red Rooster. Yes, we had a wrestler called the Red Rooster, and he had a... He used to wander around sort of pecking, didn't he? He just sort of walked to the ring, kind of head-butting, and he had... What do you call those red things that you have on the top of roosters' heads? What do you call them?
Feathers, I think.
Mohicans?
Mohicans, that's the one. He had a
It's not on a rooster,
not?
but it's not on a rooster, but in general it's a Mohican.
Right, well he had a Red Rooster Mohican.
I'm sticking with feathers.
And it was just an amazingly bad gimmick, really. But Mr. Perfect, he was outstanding. He could spit out chewing gum and slap it, and he never missed once.
There's a skill.
That was impressive.
Nice.
Well done.
Although we wouldn't recommend that, kids, because you might get fined for littering.
You probably would. You get a fixed penalty notice as well, wouldn't you? It's like £50 on the spot, £75, I don't know.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
It's not good. You don't want it.
No.
So that happened on TNA. Also, my other sort of main talking point for TNA this week was just that Matt Hardy continues to be pure gold. Pure, unadulterated gold.
I agree. There's very little. Can we have some Matt Hardy? It's possible to have some Matt Hardy.
All right.
I had a premonition.
There we go.
We had a premonition.
I love his
I
premonitions.
like the fact that Jeff Hardy's becoming broken as well, although he wasn't really embracing his brokenness.
No,
quite
he
so
seems to be
much this
fighting it a little bit this week.
week.
So
You can't fight these things.
yeah, but Matt banned him from coming off the top rope again. He tried to at least.
What I like about Matt Hardy is he's actually making the tag team championships really relevant in TNA
Yeah.
by embarking on this quest and by generally refusing to wrestle, just letting Jeff do all the work. But, Decay, I think I'm not massively impressed with them as champions. I think they've held the belts for a reasonable period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for new champions, and I would love that to be the broken Hardy boys.
But in
Can
the
I just say
meantime,
something? Can I just say something?
Go on.
Hang on a minute. How does it go? How does that thing go? How does his song go now? I can't remember.
whenever you're ready.
Something about... I can't remember. Something... What is it about? I define myself as obsolete? How does it go? That's it. I fade away and classify myself as obsolete. That's what you should do, Lewis.
Doesn't really have the same effect if you don't sing it.
It doesn't.
Although kind of related to we've had news this week, like not from TNA as such, but it's been reported that the Final Deletion 2 is in the works.
Final Deletion 2, the deletion era.
Yes, the even more deleted. Decay or delete, I think it is, or delete or decay. So that's kind of pointing towards obviously the feud between themselves and Decay for the tag team titles, presumably. And the budget has apparently increased substantially for that. Looking forward to it.
Yes, me too.
Looking forward to it.
It should be good.
It's going to be fantastic. And also, in the meantime, Crazy Steve picking up a win for the Forces of Evil.
Well,
I picked up one for Silent but Deadly as well.
Yeah, well, there you
Get
go.
in.
There you go.
We'll talk about fantasy wrestling later because it's been a
Crazy
bumper
Steve.
week. And of course, we will also, later on in the show, in the Fantasy Wrestling Report, the only fantasy wrestling played live on any radio station in the known cosmos.
It's a true fact.
We don't use universe on this show because there's too much of that use of that word in wrestling. We will do that later on. We also have a special guest, don't we, Mark?
We do indeed, but more about that later on. What else has been
I thought you had more words later on.
No.
Okay.
What else has been in your evil eye?
In my evil eye,
Right in your evil eye.
Right in there, it's proper. Honestly, it's proper.
I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
I was going to say,
yeah.
it makes it water and everything. On Monday Night Raw, Kevin Owens became the new Fruit Winders champion.
He did indeed.
Yes, he did.
You can't do anything about it. Wait a minute! No! What's going on?
So we had Triple H came out. Everyone thought that he was going to help Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins, has been their guy, the authorities guy, for as long as possible. And there we go.
Here is your winner and the new WWE Universal Champion, Kevin Owens.
People haven't been happy about the interference.
It's wrestling. Get used to the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It got great ratings.
It did get very good ratings.
Got good ratings for Monday Night Raw. Lots of people tuned in.
Yeah.
It was an interesting match, and it had a very an unusual and unexpected twist to it, and I will talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen, because I watched Raw and it was, I thought the whole thing worked really well. I would have loved to seen it having not had it spoiled for me beforehand.
Don't you just
that was
hate
the only
Yes,
problem.
me too.
Don't you
Yeah.
just hate that?
Because it would have been so much more exciting and kind of edge of your seat stuff if I didn't already know the outcome.
Yeah.
But still, so good. The reaction from Kevin Owens was priceless. The thing that bugged me watching that episode of Raw was twice Stephanie McMahon referenced the crowning of the first ever Universal Champion.
So
Watch it back if you don't believe
they've
me.
forgotten about poor old Finn Balor then.
He's been Benoit. He's been Hogan. That's it. It's even though you're right there, Mark.
I don't think he's quite been Benoit. Let's
Even
make that
though,
quite clear.
well, even though they played the little package, talking about his injury and referring to how he'd captured the Universal title, and then minutes later, Stephanie McMahon, we're going to have a match tonight to crown the first ever Fruit Winders champion. And she said that twice in the same episode.
Did they say it's the biggest match in the history of Raw? as
Probably,
well?
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Come on.
I
You're the
thought-
biggest wrestling company in the world.
Do you know
Sort
what-
yourselves
Do you know
out.
what? I made a suggestion to you, Mark, about a new feature for this show. You know how they have Room 101
Yeah.
on the telly?
Yeah.
And you put things in that you really don't like, you can't stand,
yeah.
that really irritate you. Well, I think we should do one here. We should call it Room 619
Okay.
because this is wrestling.
Yeah.
Name it after a finishing move, Rey Mysterio's finishing move. What are you sighing for?
Nothing.
Good.
It's just the reaction that I and most people have when you start talking.
Room 619, nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's wrestling puns. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's not funny if it's not punny. You should know that by now.
I do enjoy a pun, to be fair.
Now, so I'm going to put into wrestling. I'm going to put into Room 619.
In 619, yeah.
Not only the fact that people spoilers.
Yes.
Spoilers should go in Room 619. What Lewis said before, which I've forgotten already because I'm getting on, and my short-term memory is appalling. But also, people. What is it with people when they're doing promos on the telly? You know, with this never-ending production line of young, 4'6" brunette NXT female interviewers that they have.
Yeah.
Because they do, don't they?
They're all really small.
They're all really small.
Really small.
And there's about 1 million of them. And I don't know any of their names.
There's one in particular who looks so small that she literally looks like she's stood in a hole when she's interviewing the wrestlers. She comes just up to belly button height, literally, and it's comical to watch.
But I'm not putting them into Room 619.
No,
I'm
just
putting in people when they do promos to camera, people who just walk off. They do the promo, they make a really serious and intense point, and then they walk off.
Like David Cameron in all interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why do
There
that?
you go.
You need to give a lingering, this is in the movies, you give a lingering, smouldering sometimes, like you're giving to Lewis now, Mark. Smouldering look.
I love when he does that.
Stop playing with yourself.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Anyway, we are after 9 o'clock. Yes, we are. Smouldering look at the camera. That's what we need to do. We need to linger, to stare. That camera is your window into the eyes of millions of wrestling homes. Don't just walk off. It's like you couldn't care less. It's like you're taking your ball home from the playground.
I think that was CM Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's in UFC, and that's got nothing to do with wrestling and has no place on this show.
All right. Fair enough, Grandad.
None.
All right.
We don't mention it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Stupid. Anyone who tries to link the two things, they have no similarity whatsoever. Why? Right, you've got me started now. Why does the wrestling press, why does the Wrestling Observer, why does the Fighting Spirit magazine, why do all wrestling publications cover mixed martial arts? Why don't they cover boxing? Why don't they cover karate or judo or taekwondo? They're all combat sports. So why do they cover UFC? The two things are completely different. I don't get it.
Okay.
I put that in Room 619 as well. Coverage of UFC by wrestling people. Keep the two things separate. Otherwise, you might as well cover Tiddlywinks.
All right, Grandad.
How aggressive are your Tiddlywinks matches if you want to put it in the same thing?
Well, it's another sport. It could be a combat sport. Particularly, if it landed in someone's eye, it could create a bit of fisticuffs. Who knows?
Fisty what?
No, not fisticuffs.
Oh, okay, cool. That's all right. Should we move on to SmackDown, or should we have a musical interlude? What do we
Let's
think?
move on to SmackDown. Let's do SmackDown.
Well, one of my highlights of SmackDown this week was what I just like to call At Home with the Slaters. Mr. Heath Slater, as we know, he's...
Heath Slater?
Heath Slater, yes.
It sounded familiar. Sorry about that.
Fair enough, yeah. He's, the self-proclaimed hottest free agent in wrestling, wasn't drafted. He's been trying to get drafted to either Raw or SmackDown over the last few weeks. Last week on SmackDown, he teamed up with, Rhino agreed to team up with him. And this week we had a segment where Renee Young went round to the home of Heath Slater to meet himself, his lovely wife, who is considerably wider than you would expect his wife to be, and also Rhino, who was just stood there for no real reason, because he was concentrating and focusing so hard. And then they sat around at the table. His wife served some hors d'oeuvres, which seemed to be crackers and Cheese Whiz, which Rhino spent most of his time kind of drawing little faces on and munching on said Cheese Whiz topped crackers. It was a sight to behold. It really was.
It was a really weird section, wasn't it?
Sorry,
Yeah.
we actually, because of, in tribute to Rhino, we've actually been passing the crackers around the studio this evening.
Passing the crackers. Sounds like an innuendo.
And very
Go on,
nice they are too.
Thank you very much.
Have you got any Cheese Whiz?
We're British. Of
Very-
course we'd have
very
cheese
personal
whiz.
question.
That's
I
not.
don't want to answer on the radio.
Why would we?
So yeah, that was I enjoyed that. It was an amusing segment, and now I'm going to have to do all the talking because you two are sat there eating cream crackers, which you can't do and present radio.
Watch
Have
us.
you ever tried to do that thing where
Watchers.
record breakers try to eat as many crackers as they can whole
Yeah.
in a minute?
Yeah.
How many have you managed to do?
Me? About 5.
5?
5. It wasn't good.
What you tried
You're
to do
not
it?
human.
No, it wasn't. No,
I
yeah.
can imagine.
Tried
How
to
many
do
do you
it,
reckon
wasn't
Rhino could do?
I think he did about 6 just during that interview
He did
segment.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
He's
just,
mad for him. He didn't even stop for a drink. Guy's a machine.
They're not the same crackers, though. They're smaller.
Oh well.
There are smaller crackers in
Are
that
you,
America.
where are you from? The official Cracker Measurement Committee,
Yes.
the
What of it?
International Cracker Standards Agency.
Yes. And what of it?
I don't know what of it.
Okay. We got a message from Stallions, by the way.
Oh, we've got people listening to the show. Excellent.
hello-
Hello, people listening. How
Hello,
are you?
Stallions. He says it's a comb on top of the chicken's head.
The what?
It's a comb on top of the chicken's head.
No, it's feathers, Stallion.
thanks.
It's feathers.
Oh, the red chicken.
God.
Is it?
Yeah.
The red chicken.
Yeah.
The red goose.
Yes.
Chickens have feathers on their heads and the rest of their bodies.
Fair enough. What happened in NXT this week, Eva Lewis?
Things happened in NXT this week.
How about the Milkman?
Well, yeah, that's
sorry,
it.
the
We're
Milkman.
not done with SmackDown yet. Firstly, one little point before we get onto the Milkman. What's going on with Carmella? She seems to have turned heel all of a sudden.
Well, she's
on Nikki Bella.
F-A-B-U-L-O-U-S, isn't she?
No, she's TERRIBLE. I can't words, but you get the.
That's
She's
not-
awful.
that's not how-
She's
that's not how you-
awful.
that's not how you
She's
spell
horrific.
tedious.
She's treble?
She is hot. I can't. I don't have enough words to describe how bad she is.
You don't like Carmella?
No,
She's great.
she's not.
Oh, she's got a lot of enthusiasm. And she can moonwalk.
Just no. Bada bing. Worst post-op
I bet
transsexual
you
in the
Shinsuke,
ring.
I bet you the king of
That's what she
Hey,
is.
listen, I bet you the king of incontinence, Shinsuke Nakamura. I bet he can't moonwalk, even though he looks like a really bad Michael Jackson tribute. I bet he could, bad being the operative word, no pun intended. But I bet you he can't do it.
I don't
Seriously.
know. All I'm going to say is if they're turning her heel, good, because she's bloody awful. There you go. I'm trying hard not to get us thrown off air here.
Don't let Big
Not that
Cass-
you'd notice.
Don't let Big Cass hear you say that.
Uh,
Their girlfriend and boyfriend in real life. You know?
he's quite tall. TM. Yeah, so
I'm enjoying these crackers, by the way.
these are good.
I'm glad you are. Yeah, okay. So
So about the Milkman.
Gary the Milkman Millman.
Yes.
What the hell? What the hell was that? And why?
This is the guy who came out and in the ring randomly
Yeah.
and then stripped down to white underpants.
He had his tighty whities on. Yes,
the,
he did.
The kind you were forced to do cross country in at school
Yeah.
if you've forgotten your games kit.
yeah.
And then
Reminded me of the twitchy bloke from Friday.
From the movie
From
Friday.
the movie Friday.
Yeah.
Very much the twitchy bloke.
Fair enough.
Never. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. Anyway,
I expect him to go up and punch that ball bloke at the end just for
You
the
mean
sake of it.
Debo?
Yeah.
Who was an actual wrestler, don't
Yes,
forget.
yeah.
Okay.
and then Kane just came out and battered him. And
For no
it's
reason.
Nice to see Kane because we've not seen him for a while.
Sure.
But I tell you what I like though about it. It's nice to see. I mentioned a local competitor last week on the show on hashtag TPISFOF.
Yeah.
This program is scheduled for one fall. It's an acronym,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see the return of the enhancement talent, the preliminary wrestlers, the jobbers, as they
There
are.
you go.
Sometimes rather disrespectfully referred to as. It's nice to see people like the Milkman.
Yeah.
Did you know back in the old days there was actually a jobber in the 90s called Jake the Milkman Milliman? I think that's where they got the name from.
Oh, okay.
And he used to lose all the time on telly.
No, I didn't know.
And they had, I think it was in the AWA actually before that became defunct. But I remember guys like Barry Horowitz and Iron Mike Sharp and Reno Riggins and the Italian Stallion and the best ever. They call them squash matches, don't they?
Yeah.
That's where basically you have a guy who's a big star in there with a guy who's a complete loser, and the loser gets destroyed in about 3 minutes'
Yeah,
time.
it's how you build up a big star and give
Yeah.
them that kind of undefeatable monster aura.
Get
As they're giving to Braun Strowman and also apparently Kane for, I don't know what they're doing with him. Well, actually I do, because if you remember, him and Baron Corbin had a little gaze into each other's eyes on Baron Corbin's way out to the ring. Kane was hanging about for him.
There's
all
maybe-
seductive like. He was
maybe
like,
more to that.
"Ooh, Baron Corbin."
Maybe more to that than meets the eye. But get yourself on YouTube and check out best ever squash match, which is 1989 WCW Worldwide, Sid Vicious versus Lee Scott. And seriously, Lee Scott, he was basically spaghetti come to life. There was no muscle on this guy at all. And at one point in the match, Sid Vicious turns him into a human helicopter blade. It's amazing. He gets him up like into a powerbomb, and he spins him in the air in midair, and he flies around in the air, and he crashes down to the canvas after about 5 minutes. It's incredible.
Sounds it.
And that's what, why I'm pleased to see the Milkman deliver
The
on
Milkman,
Raw. On SmackDown.
Gary the Milkman
SmackDown.
Millman.
What are you laughing at?
Puns. We do love a pun.
It was SmackDown.
We love a good pun anyway.
Yes.
Not that one because it was terrible, but
Can I just say as well that I was really pleased to see Hideo Itami on NXT this week refer to his sockless loafers. Clearly he had tuned into last week's episode of our show.
obviously, why wouldn't he?
Where we pointed out that he came out on the NXT TakeOver special in a full suit with no socks to attack someone, and we started our appeal. GTS, get the socks.
There you go.
We tried to get some socks in, and I don't think we got any, unfortunately.
We did.
We
got
did?
some. We got some sent in with a letter.
You're joking.
No, seriously, we got some through with a letter.
Somebody actually sent us a pair of socks.
It did indeed.
Prove it.
We're ridiculous.
Where are these socks?
They are here. The Argyle socks.
Oh
Have
my
I got them?
God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Argyle.
Yeah.
They're
The
hideous.
Argyle Gargoyle.
They're hideous. Never mind Hideo. They are hideous.
Hideous.
So I'll read the letter.
Oh my God! We smelled them.
I'll read the letter.
Maybe they've not been washed.
Hi, Mark, Greg, and Larry.
Who's Larry?
I presume you. I
what?
presume you. I don't know. It's seriously written. Hi, Mark, Greg, and Larry. I can't do anything but that. Really loved the show last week, and thank you for the shout out. Oh, it's from Keith Slater.
Oh,
It's
Keith-
from
Keith
Slater.
Slater.
Yeah.
This guy's the guy.
Keith.
Who wrote, he's the,
Keith
is he the-
Slater,
is
yeah.
he the
Keith Slater.
Yeah.
Is he the guy who wrote in last week?
wrote in
And
last
he
week,
wanted
yeah.
to come on. He wanted to be on the show or something. Is that?
Yeah.
Right.
So, really loved the show last week. Thank you for the shout out. I added a few more action figures to my collection this week. I got Alberto Del Rio action figure. I'm pretty sure he's shooing for the next world champion. I hope you got my socks for a deal. They were my favourite pair. Sorry I didn't get a chance to wash them. That'll be the
He's got a little golfer on him.
Stop fondling them,
Just gonna
Greg.
describe-
Seriously, stop fondling them.
Describe these socks. I mean, for starters, there's some Hideo shade
Hideous.
of turquoisey blue.
yeah.
There's something crusty there on the heel. I don't like.
Don't touch that. I won't touch
God,
that.
no, maybe not. Could we get somebody in to deal with this? So we've got like chemical experts,
Hazmat team.
Just give it to Lou at the end of the show.
pest control.
Anyway, I hope you think a little bit more about me being your mascot. I think I'd be amazing at it. I'd even get a tattoo. So I did write a poem for this week. So going on from last week with the poetry. So
Has he done as a wrestling haiku?
I did write.
There's the haku we call him. In
I
wrestling,
did
don't
write
we?
a poem for this week. While I started it, I didn't get far. See what you think. There once was a man called John Cena. Hope you're all well. Yours and still the hottest free agent in community radio, Keith Slater. So that was.
That's not a. That is not even a haku. That was one line.
I think literally he just ran out of inspiration. So thanks for that, Keith.
Well, do you know what, Keith?
Genuinely don't know what to say to that.
Well, I know what to say to it. There is a phrase that, as the saying goes, God loves a trier, but we don't.
Very true. Very, very true.
All I've got to say to that is it's evil Lewis, goddammit.
He might get it right one week. He might get it right.
You better.
All right. I'm going to play a song. We'll be back after this with Fantasy Wrestling.
Oh, yes.
So, Greg, you've told me that there is supposed to be a new thing on here, didn't you?
Yeah.
A new thing for the Fantasy Wrestling, new
Yeah,
ident.
it's a new fantasy wrestling report
Okay.
jingle, like almost like a theme tune. 'Cause
Alright.
you know, there used to be one on the old Fantasy Football League on telly, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it's the one called Fantasy Hogan.
Right, hang on. Got on here.
Careful, that's...
No, that's
Hang
not.
on,
That's
you're
not
not
what you're.
doing
That's
that.
not
Fantasy
what you're
Hogan.
thinking.
Not doing
That's
that.
not what you're thinking. No, it's none of that.
Okay.
Go on then. This is it. This
you
is
think it's worth
the new Fantasy Wrestling Report theme tune.
I don't think you should trust him, Mark.
I don't.
Oh,
but
just
we'll-
hit it.
we'll
Just
try.
hit it.
Fantasy Wrestling Report. Fantasy Wrestling Report. Fantasy Wrestling Report. Fantasy Wrestling Report.
Just like Badil and Skinner used to do.
Wow.
Right.
Only we thought we'd do it to a wrestling theme tune. And what's more recognisable theme tune than the Hulksters real American. You did you did get it from
Yeah,
that
yeah.
beautiful singing, didn't you?
No,
Well, you need to learn your theme tunes then.
I don't think I would have recognised Hulk Hogan's theme tune.
That was Hulk Hogan's theme tune. It was obviously Hulk Hogan's theme tune.
Are you sure?
You got it, didn't you, Lewis?
No.
It sounded like two bumblebees farting.
That was me and my son singing in perfect harmony. I'm insulted. I'm going to get on with Fantasy Wrestling
Go on,
Report.
get on with
You're
it.
going to regret this, Mark. To tell you what, second week of Fantasy Wrestling, the only fantasy wrestling league that is played on the radio anywhere in the known cosmos. And this week, we're going to say a big congratulations to Top of the League. And I tell you what, it's about to appear. The league table's about to appear on our Facebook page. Get to
Right
this
now,
program
actually.
Oh,
is scheduled for one fall. Hashtag TPISFOF. That's an acronym. I'm not being rude. Get
Not
yourself
yet.
to the Facebook page and have a look at the league table, because top of the league with 22 points, a 19-point swing this week for Shaheen Najafipur with the Shining Wizards. Have kicked his way. Is it a kick or is it a knee? I can never work it out. It doesn't really matter. He has kicked or kneed his way
It's a
to
knee.
the top. It's a knee.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you for correcting me. To the top of the league, a brilliant week, helped by, of course, by the fact that last week he traded out the injured Finn Balor for Kevin Owens, who became the Universal Champion and gained him 7 points. But I want to give special mention to the second highest climber of the week, which is Faces and Eights, belonging to Zara Thompson, a 17-point leap up to 9 points for Zara this week, and that was also helped by her having Kevin Owens in her team, but also Ethan Carter III, who picked her up 6 points for winning the main event of Turning Point, defeating Drew Galloway, who was clearly too drunk on whiskey shots, drunk by the swimming pool.
There you go.
So, however, we need to mention who the star of the week is, don't we?
We do.
We do indeed. And
Me,
of course,
obviously.
And of course, you played the clip earlier. You played the clip earlier of the Universal Championship match.
I did.
You played the clip earlier of a new champion being crowned. You played the clip earlier of history being made on Monday Night Raw. So without a shadow of a doubt, this
Kevin
week,
Owens,
the
wasn't
star of the week
Obviously.
can be, and there's so many people have, you just mentioned him. There's so many people I'm sure will be looking forward to hearing me proclaim
Yes.
the star of the week
Yes.
for Fantasy Wrestling Report
Yes.
Week 2 is Triple H.
What?
You what?
Triple H. Of course it's Triple H.
How is it Triple
How
H?
is that Triple H?
Well, there's two reasons. Number one, Kevin Owens wouldn't be champion if Triple H hadn't come out and pedigreed Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
True.
And number two, Triple H pedigreeing Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns got a far bigger reaction. If you listen back to that thing I played before, it got a far bigger reaction than Kevin Owens actually scoring the 3 count. And it was Triple H coming out of nowhere that everybody was talking about.
Like an RKO.
You know? And I think personally that Triple H is deserving a star of the week.
Not happy about it.
oh,
Not happy about it.
Genuinely.
Hang on, guys.
I hate to agree.
Oh,
I hate to agree with him, but I think he's right.
Oh, but hang on a minute.
What?
You've both got Kevin Owens in your fantasy team.
Obviously.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Well, you would have got 10 points if I picked him.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't. I picked Triple H and nobody drafted him, so no points this week for Star of the Week
disgrace.
to anyone. But I think that was perfectly fair.
We don't have a recount.
No, it's my
I demand a
decision.
recount
All
on
right,
this
then.
one.
My
This
decision.
is ridiculous.
Let's move on. Who's
You just make up
who's
the rules
W
as you
of the
go
week?
along, Greg. Is that how it is? Is that how it works here? You just make up the rules as you go along.
Dude, he's the GM. Yes, that's pretty much what the GM does.
He's the MC for this show, and his decision is final.
No,
on this show.
it's not. That's my decision's not final. You know that as well as anyone.
I am
you're
the GM.
You're the GM on it. It's going to be your decision. So go on, just let's move on. Who's the dummy of the week? Let's get this out of the way.
Dummy of the week.
Yes.
Well, there's only one dummy of the week. Only one person it could be. And before I mention this person, Mark, I have to say what a pitiful request you put through to me this week. in
I
an
think it was
attempt
genuine.
To trade out, to get rid of one of your fantasy wrestling team.
Yes.
Just because he happened to have been arrested for being drunk and disorderly
Yeah.
on his way to Mexico for a WWE house show. And, I think that was disgraceful on your part. And so this is really on you, to be honest, for such a pitiful attempt. The dummy of the week this week is Bo Dallas.
Can I be 100% honest with you? All I did was see he was arrested, and I went, I'll chuck him out, shall I? That was actually literally my reaction to it.
Well, I'm sorry, but you've lost 3 points for him not being on telly and 5 points for being dummy of the week. That's -8. And to be honest with you, it's a shame, really. It's put you down to 4th place overall. And had you got those 8 points, you'd have been top.
I would have
You
been
need
top.
the sound effect, Mark.
What? Oh, hang on. I do have it somewhere, Bowie.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So
Go on,
where's the
carry on
forces of
talking.
evil? Where do the forces of evil sit in the league table
You're
then?
third.
Mr. GM. Third?
You're third, yeah.
It's a disgrace. What are you talking about, third?
Shaheen's top.
Forces of Evil, clearly the best team in fantasy wrestling.
That was better late than never, wasn't
It
it?
was, yeah.
Goodness me.
I thought I had it lined up. I didn't.
No,
Third.
Shaheen's top with 22, and then forced against my will by Ryan Hunter, who didn't even want to be in it. Xander Cooper forced him. Is second with 18 points, and then it's Lewis with 15.
It's
No,
ridiculous.
it's not. It's me with 50.
Sorry, it's Mark with 15 and Lewis with 14.
I'm fourth.
You're
And,
fourth.
and sadly,
You're behind me.
That's even worse than You're literally just making it up as you go along. This is a conspiracy.
And bottom.
Forget Tomspiracy. This is just a regular conspiracy.
Sadly, the
But either way.
the underdogs are still massively bottom with minus 22, closely followed by our studio guest this evening. Let's bring him in because I want to taunt him. From Alpha Omega Wrestling, the chief of staff of Alpha Omega Wrestling. That's very nice. Nice thing
Greetings.
to-
Hello.
Charles Nelson Riley is here. Charles Nelson Riley, who has a fantasy wrestling team, Team Total Divas. You picked 11 ladies who
Yes, I
appear
did.
on Raw, SmackDown, and
Hashtag
NXT.
feminism.
And you are second bottom with minus 10.
Well,
Because
that's just anti-female. That's what that is.
It
That's
isn't.
sexism.
It's perfect.
Pure sexism
It's
on your
not,
part.
it's not, it's
We
kidding.
all know how much you hate women's wrestling. You and Dan Reed would always clash over this. He wanted to push Eve. You said it was rubbish and no one had paid to watch him. We all know the truth, Greg.
I changed. No, hang on. This isn't
We
fair.
all know the truth.
Who said let him on the show? Unplay that theme music.
Pure sexism.
It's not true at all.
Has
Absolutely
nothing to do with me
untrue.
picking a rubbish team.
Absolutely untrue. You did pick a rubbish team. Asuka wasn't on telly this week. Ember Moon wasn't on telly this week. Sasha Banks is still injured. Gail Kim wasn't on telly this week. Eva Marie still suspended.
She's still a star in my
where
eyes.
is she?
Eva
She's
Marie is still amazing.
Somewhere-
Her
somewhere in
entrance
England.
alone is quality and is worth the ticket price.
So far, you're a fantasy wrestling failure, my friend.
See, again, this is just yet another example of Greg Lambert letting power go to his head. It's like, there are so many
Never
dummies
happens,
of the week.
does it?
Oh, no, really?
No, exactly. Bo Dallas is a legend. He sat on a plane, drunk out of his face, and sang at the top of his lungs the Swahili beginning to the Circle of Life from The Lion King. That's 10 points in anyone's book.
Superstar of the week.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Star of the week.
Oh, and yet, just because Mark's there and you're thinking, oh, I can get one over on Mark here, I'm going to knock him down a peg. You decide, nah, dummy of the week.
The man was drunk.
I know what you like.
The man was drunk while on duty for a corporate company.
Well, he
what
was-
kind of a?
he
you
was
know,
on
he
the
tells
way.
people to believe. He's meant to be an inspirational figure.
He believed in Disney, and I believe in Disney.
To be fair.
His brother sits in a rocking chair and rambles nonsense. He's the dummy of the week.
Oh, again, just a shame. It's because Bo Dallas has nice breasts. This is more sexism from Greg Lambert. That's what that is. Personal opinion.
He's got what?
He has like man breasts. The same thing Heath Slater used to have before he got them sorted.
Right.
But they are quite nice though. I'm quite jealous.
I thought Man Boobs was an X Division wrestler.
It might be.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's in the X Division right now. I'll be completely honest.
Right.
Not a clue. Probably Chuck Taylor. Throwing a name out there. Let's say he's in the X Division now. Is he, Lewis?
Not quite, no.
There you go. That's yeah. Or
you
I
agree
see
with
Matt
me-
Hardy.
you
I
agree
watch
with
Matt
me?
Hardy. Matt Hardy's gone. I switch off. I'm sorry.
You do agree with me though on what I was saying last week about TM61 that they should embrace their Australian heritage.
I agree that it would be better than having no gimmick whatsoever. Had they come in with the name The Mighty Don't Kneel, which is a fantastic wrestling name, they've given them a manager such as Paul Ellering, who can talk and do the talking for them. He just comes out and says, The Mighty Don't Kneel, like 3-minute warning used to with Eric Bischoff. They come in, do a wrestle. Everyone likes a wrestle now. I don't know why, but they do. And then everyone will like them. But instead they come in and they're like, yeah, we have a random 2-number name that no one's going to remember or care about that will look pretty rubbish on a T-shirt. Woo. And no matter how good a wrestle they do, no one cares about them. So
I agree.
if they came out with the cork hats, they would probably get a bigger reaction.
Wobble boards.
That
You
might be
don't
going a
want
bit
to do
far.
that now, I think.
Yeah,
I
Rolf Harris
genuinely
is
think you don't
kind
want
of
to do
ta-
that.
He's kind of a
Yeah.
tainted brand.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that.
Yeah.
So how about a stable then? There's 5 or 6 Australian wrestlers.
They have a
on
lot of
NXT,
Australians.
so
I'm
we could
surprised
have,
at this.
we could have Buddy Murphy, we
Yeah.
could have Peyton Royce, Billy Kay,
Yeah,
and TM61,
yeah.
and possibly Emma, because I'm not quite sure what's happened
Yeah,
to her. I think she's
an Aussie super stable would be fantastic. And what an acronym.
prisoners. Yes, Aussie Super Stable.
There you go. Hashtag ass.
Or we could call them Prisoner Cellblock H, maybe.
I don't think half the fans would know what that is. And they wouldn't want to
Prisoner
look it up.
Cellblock Triple H.
They might know what
That
that
gives
is.
it a bit more of a wrestling.
Yeah, and people would pop
flavour.
for it because people care more about Triple H than the entire roster, it seems.
And he is our star of the week, and deservedly so.
I have to admit that of that fatal 4-way, I mean, Big Cass is clearly an absolute legend. He's the best thing WWE have right now on Raw. Sarcasm. And having him in the main event was strange, to say the least. Had it not been an elimination, I would have said he was only there to take the pin. But then people were just going, oh, well, so Roman Reigns is winning this. And they were just losing interest. And then Triple H came out and was like, oh, I'm interested again. So I think without Triple H's involvement, Kevin Owens going over clean would have turned him face. So I think it needed the screw job finish that everyone's whinging about to keep Kevin Owens heel. I think it needed it.
Yeah, I'm sure what you just said was really interesting. Anyway, so yes, it's Charles Nelson Riley on the show. Are you going to actually do your job, Mark, and host this? Or do you want me to just carry on?
No, I will. I'll host it. We're going to play a song. We'll be back in a second. We're going to talk to Charles Nelson Riley after this, which Greg has given me that makes very little sense. Joe Hendry.
Oh, yes. My
Will Ospreay
man I
can
used
fly.
to manage. He's incredible. If you don't know Joe Hendry, he's a Scottish wrestler. He's a musician, and he does parody songs. And he's done this fantastic parody of the very talented, high-flying Londoner, Will Ospreay. Listen to this.
I used to be so popular, Ospreay can touch the sky.
Right, I get it.
They talk about
I get it.
Will Ospreay, who is making a big name for himself in Britain at the moment, won himself the Best of the Super Juniors tournament in New Japan Pro Wrestling earlier this year. He's going to debut for Ring of Honor, I understand.
Well,
Quite
in
soon
England
as well.
Not Ring of Honor in America, Ring of Honor over here.
Yes,
Like
Ring of Honor with a U then. It's got a U in it.
Not
in
the
that
real
case.
Ring of Honor.
The Honor.
No.
The fake British Ring of Honor.
Yeah, pretty
Did a
much.
promo in a field and got 15,000 views this week on YouTube. Man can do no wrong.
Well, yeah, that promo. It can do no wrong.
15,000 people watched it.
That's honestly, that is amazing. But how many people?
By British standards,
how
that is
many
amazing.
people have watched Two Girls One Cup?
It's true. Just because a lot of people have watched it doesn't mean it's acceptable.
Honestly, I think he could be, based on his ability in the ring alone, because that's probably all he has, could get to the top level.
Right, I think you're wrong there.
But promos like that are not going to help him anyway. It wasn't
15,000 people
It wasn't
watched
even
it.
so bad. It was good. You know, like the Matt Hardy original when he first went broken, and they were so bad. You were thinking this is awful. Then you went, actually, this is awful, and you'd watch it. It wasn't even that. It was like, it's three guys in a field.
It was just so bad, it was bad.
Yeah.
3 guys in a field,
And
filmed on a
like I say,
phone.
all three of them, I've seen them wrestle, and I know that they can wrestle rings around so many people in the country. They don't need to almost devalue themselves with Hazel's in a field. Here's a belt. Hey.
So what would you like to see? I don't know.
I'd like to see
Farmer Giles turn up maybe.
No, in a studio with like a screen behind them or someone interviewing.
Maybe the Godwins could have made a comeback.
That would have
if
been
they're going to be
I
out in
was
the
a
field.
huge Godwins mark. I loved Henry O. Godwin and Phineas I. Godwin.
They
They
could
were
have, the
amazing.
Godwins could have turned up and they could have had a trios match. I don't know if there were 3 Godwins or not.
There was Hillbilly Jim. He was with him for a
They
bit.
are. Godwins and Hillbilly Jim could have turned up. They could have had a trios match in the mud.
No, but honestly, those 3 guys could have done it
Few
in
pigs.
a studio with background music, some smoke. It could look really cool. They could have had the belts of rise from the smoke.
I think we're at
It'd
cross
look
purposes
really
here.
good.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
It'd look really good.
You're talking
but
about putting
just-
it. I'm talking about the great outdoors. You're talking about bringing it
15,000 views,
inside.
You can't argue with that. But yeah, as you say, if someone can do a promo like that and get 15,000 views, you are right in that regard. He can do no wrong. Like Eva Marie being so awful, I just want to see her. And I love her entrance. I think it's brilliant. My wife can't stand it, and that makes me like her more. So again, that's someone else who's awful, but she can do no wrong.
Well, I'm telling you, Will
Apart
Ospreay
from getting me
is,
points
Will
on
Ospreay is
fantasy wrestling.
far from awful.
Hashtag
Will
feminism.
Ospreay is one of the greatest talents, and everybody's talking about him.
They
The
are.
fact is, we very rarely mention British wrestling on this show, and we should probably mention it more.
We're going to do
And
some
we're talking about it now because of Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay cut that promo and he said it's all about getting attention, it's all about being different, it's all about making money. 15,000 people watch him, 15,000 people more likely to spend money, pay money to see him, buy a ticket, buy his merchandise. They're interested. We're talking about him. That's why the promo was good. You're talking out of your stupidly jacketed backside.
Yeah, but it's a
friend.
case of, a trio title in general is just the idea. I've got one match to fill. Do I really want to pay 6 people's wages for a match?
Well,
Nah,
you're just
mate,
thinking about
I'll
it from a
put one.
promoter's point of view. Thankfully, I don't have to think about it
Speaking
like that anymore.
of which, sir, Charles Nelson Riley, you're here today. How are you?
I'm fine, thank
It's
you very much.
lovely to
Yourself?
see you.
Thank you very much.
So you are main person, promoter,
Chief of Staff.
Chief of
There's
Staff
a nice title.
of Alpha Omega Wrestling in Morecambe. Morecambe's very own wrestling company.
It is indeed.
How's it going?
It's going really well. It's been brilliant to bring wrestling back to the Morecambe Winter Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Our shows, as far as I'm aware, we're the only company that exclusively runs non-profit shows.
Very good.
With all the money raised going towards the restoration of the Winter Gardens, money from the bar, the money that we give them, everything's going there to make that venue as beautiful as it once was. And at the same time, running fantastic shows. The fans are loving it. They're coming back every time, talking about how they can't wait to see how it's going for the next one. Bringing up some rising stars, some young guys like the Ryan Hunters and out there. Bringing in some more established names that we've seen, such as Styx, such as his opponent on the next show, Nathan Cruz, who's not been in Morecambe for... I actually don't know exactly how long off the top of my head, but it's been a good few years since he was last in Morecambe. I think four.
4.5.
There we go.
So if you knew your history, you'd know
I've not heard much about him. Is he any good?
Nathan Cruz is a fantastic wrestler. Nathan Cruz.
Do you have to say that by contract?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I love the fact that this match can happen because there are certain companies out there who they get a lot of attention. They have a lot of exposure, such as the NGWs out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're on TV and like Bristol and on the East Coast in Hull and that. They're on TV there, so lots of people can see them. And Nathan Cruz is always there, and he's always on screen. And it's not because he's the booker, which he's not. It's not because he's the booker's friend. It's because he's a great wrestler. He can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the closest things we have to a WWE wrestler in England. And it'll be great to see him come back to Morecambe because I know everyone likes working Morecambe because the Morecambe fans are just different to anywhere else.
Yeah.
They bring so much to it. And I think him coming back to Morecambe will bring something back to him as well. I think he will grow from it again, being back in front of those really passionate fans. Might light something back inside of him and give him something that he might step up another level.
Yeah.
Which is frightening if you've got an 8-year undefeated streak such as Styx.
That's the thing. It's going to be a big match.
Oh yeah.
How do you think it's going to go? What have you got any thoughts about it yet? The first show I saw in Morecambe, Styx was on it. Mm-hmm.
He was holding the briefcase for, I believe, Stevie Knight. And I saw him and I looked and I thought, he has something about him.
Yeah.
The fans wanted to see him knock Stevie Knight's face off. Everyone wanted to see it. And every time I've seen him in Morecambe, the fans see the same thing I saw. And I don't know what it is. There's an it factor. There's the je ne sais quoi, whatever you want to call it. He has it, and especially in Morecambe. He turns up, and he is as close to unbeatable as I think I've ever seen in wrestling. He just turns up, and he's a superhuman in Morecambe. So I don't think, as good as Nathan Cruz is, I don't think he can end the streak. I think that Styx streak is going to continue until I don't know when. Styx he's as close to undefeatable as you can get.
And in theory, it's the streak's gone on for that long. This is pretty much his home turf now.
It's definitely a home away from home for him. It's like his second home. Where Styx has reached the point in his career now where, because he's sacrificed his body for so long, you can see it affecting him. You see him on other shows, and he's no longer main event everywhere. He's in tag team division. He's in smaller matches everywhere else. He's winding down. You can see it. But then he comes to Morecambe and boom, he's back there again. He's the main event guy. He's the guy again. There's something in Morecambe. You could say it's something in the water or in the potted shrimp. There's something in Morecambe where he just goes hell for leather. And that's why I just can't see it ending at all.
No. Someone's... You wanted to say something, Greg?
Listen, I've watched Styx very closely. That show, it's very interesting you mentioned that, Charles. That first show that you saw would have been February the 2nd, 2008 at the Morecambe Dome.
He knows his stuff.
It would have been.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know that date is because that was the last time that Styx ever lost a wrestling match in Morecambe.
Martin Stone.
He was with no. It was you were right the first time.
Sam Slam.
Styx was at ringside with Stevie Knight was with him, and Styx went into the ring to wrestle Sam Slam, and Sam Slam beat Styx, and then Styx turned on Stevie Knight, and the fans of Morecambe got behind him, and ever since then, Styx has beaten everybody. He's beaten Zack Knight, beaten Marty Skrull, beat Rockstar Spud, TNA's Rockstar Spud, 2-time X Division champion. He beat him twice. He beat the Bollywood Dream, RJ Singh. He beat Cyanide, the massive 360-pound Toxic Terror, who's a huge fan favourite now in Morecambe and hardly ever loses, and Styx managed to beat him. And he beat Craig Collins on numerous occasions. And he beat Dangerous Damon Lee, and he beat everybody. Basically, he's been put in front of him. Styx has beaten everybody over an 8-year period. We've had 3 prime ministers and 3 Olympic Games since Styx last lost in Morecambe. Just to put this across, there is nothing like this in entertainment, in professional sports, anywhere now in the world since the Undertaker streak went at WrestleMania. Styx has got the biggest undefeated streak of anything, anywhere. And I've been trying for a whole year, and I've come so close. Chris Ridgway, my man, would have beaten him, except Styx's boot came off in the middle of the match and distracted Ridgway, and he lost after outclassing Styx. Joe Hendry would have beaten him by disqualification had the referee done his job and reversed the decision when Joe Hendry had Styx put Joe Hendry in the sharpshooter after the bell had rung. Joe Hendry would have ended the streak. Johnny Fear had Styx pinned when I was in his corner, but Styx luckily got his foot on the ropes and the referee just about saw it and restarted the match. Otherwise, Styx would have lost. I have seen Styx come closer and closer to defeat. Like you say, he is winding down. I am seeing weaknesses. I'm seeing chinks in the armour, show after show after show. And someone who can expose those, somebody who has got limitless talent, someone who's a student of the professional wrestling ring, someone who's young, who's hungry, who is intelligent, and has got everything that it takes to capitalise on these little weaknesses that Styx has been displaying, will beat him. And it'll happen on September the 17th. The show stealer Nathan Cruz is the man to do it. I don't care whether it's by count out. I don't care whether it's by disqualification. I don't care how it happens. Nathan Cruz is going to defeat Styx. He's going to break the streak, steal the
you're
show.
Saying you don't care how he wins, even if he doesn't win the title. The title's, to you, the streak means more. That's what you're saying.
The title is important. And Nathan Cruz is capable of defeating Styx by pinfall or submission and becoming the Alpha Omega Wrestling Champion. But what is most important to me, what is most important to Nathan, is going down in history. Is being remembered as the man who ended the streak. I
don't believe that for a second. I've met Nathan a couple times, and I know when someone has the fire inside him, and he has that. He's not the type of person. I don't know whether you've even spoke to him. He is the type of person who will want to be champion. He wants to have the belts. He wants to have the glory. In every single wrestling company, the title, no matter what colour, what shape, what size, the title is what everyone's after. Everyone wants to be champion. They want to have the prestige, the glory. The history of the title in Morecambe has such great history. Going through it, all the people that have held it, the different people in there that have held the Morecambe wrestling title, and you think that beating a streak is more important than that. That just seems to be going... sounds like you're losing it, to be honest with you.
We will take the victory any way that we can to go down in history. It's a victory for history, and that is what's going to happen. And it's my last chance. I've said, and you know, and Stanley and yourself have ratified, this is my last chance to find someone to break the streak, and we will do anything on that night. I will do anything on that night.
Well, that's always a frightening thing to hear.
To make sure that Styx loses.
That's always scary to hear Greg Lambert say that he'll do anything. But on September 17th, what the Morecambe fans are going to see is 2 guys who know each other very well. One guy who is pretty much reaching the top of his game in Nathan Cruz, and one guy who has been on the top for 8 years in Styx, go at it for the most important thing, which is the Alpha Omega Championship. And the Morecambe fans are going to love it. Personally, I think Styx is going to win. I think Styx streak is going to continue. I think you've lost your opportunity to beat him. And I think the Morecambe fans will love when that happens.
Well, I think you're underestimating the show stealer Nathan Cruz.
Can I have
and
my
he's
opinion?
got tricks up his sleeve that you just cannot anticipate and that Styx will not see coming. And September the 17th, we are going to shock the world. Everybody like yourself, like Lewis, like Mark, like all the Alpha Omega wrestling fans who've written Nathan Cruz off, who think that this guy, who, you know, if you know his history and you know that he's a pioneer and you know that he's won titles all over the country and you know that he's on WWE's radar, and in a few years' time, you know, we're talking about guys like Finn Balor, and we're talking about guys like Nakamura, and we're talking about guys like Austin Aries, and all these people who've come through the independent scene and now appearing on international television. You know, Nathan Cruz is going to be like that, and there's only one thing that he has left to achieve in this country before he becomes a massive star overseas, and that is break the streak, and it's going to happen on September the 17th.
Hang on, that's your opinion. I mean, end of the day, right? Nathan Cruz is a phenomenal talent, okay? And the stick streak is unprecedented in British wrestling. If anyone can beat the stick streak, I can't see anyone. It would be Nathan Cruz. But the thing is the stick. You've got to draw the comparison between stick streak and the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania. I know that they're not the same, but I've got to draw that comparison. There's nothing like it in the UK. As I said, it's unprecedented. So basically, what you're saying is Nathan Cruz is the Brock Lesnar to Styx's Undertaker.
No, it's completely different.
That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
And as phenomenal a talent as Nathan Cruz is, he's not Brock Lesnar. He's not Britain's Brock Lesnar. So I don't know. It's too close to call for me, honestly.
And Styx is no Undertaker either, and I'm telling you that he's getting buried and the streak is getting broken, and we're going to steal the show in the process. And you better get yourself, down to Studio Bronze, get your tan, get your ticket for this show, Studio Bronze and Queen Street in
Tan's
Morecambe.
optional.
Get your
Tickets
tickets.
aren't.
Get yourself onto aowuk.com and buy these tickets now, because whether you're not for profit. And I personally think that's disgraceful, because wrestling is all about making money. And the show stealer Nathan Cruz is going to come out of here with all the money, all the glory, and the victory, and a championship too. Any means necessary.
I genuinely think that table has done something to Greg in the past. It's nearly the end of the show. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Any chance you can come back in soon? Because, again, this conversation could probably go on a lot longer.
Anytime you want me, I'm available.
So, what date is it? 17th?
17th of September.
17th of September, the Winter Gardens tickets on the website, which is?
aowuk.com.
And from, where is it?
Studio Bronze on Queen Street.
There we go. I'm going to end it very, very shortly, but I do want to ask Greg a question. It might be controversial to you, but have you thought about what happens if he doesn't beat the streak?
No, I haven't.
So you haven't thought that far, have you? You haven't got a contingency plan
I don't contemplate defeat.
In place?
No, I don't contemplate defeat. What I want to, just changing the subject, what I want to do is I want to say that obviously when the streak is broken, I will go down in history as one of the greatest managers of all time, alongside the late, great Mr. Fuji, Harry Fujiwara, who passed away this week. And when I started watching wrestling, I mentioned it earlier, the first show I ever saw from WWE, SummerSlam 1989, the managers, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart, Slick, and Mr. Fuji. They were the main four. Mr. Fuji was a great manager of people like Demolition and the Powers of Pain and the Berserker and the Orient Express and Yokozuna, who he managed to the WWF, now WWE Championship. And just want to say what a fantastic manager he was, a Hall of Famer, and he'll be sadly missed.
Very, very much so. We're going to end with an interview from him, just a little bit of a soundbite, should we say, to end the show with. Thank you all very much for listening. If you have been, check out the podcast. All 3 episodes will be up there by the end of tonight. Charles Nelson Riley, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Do get your tickets for the Gold Rush, which is on the 17th in Morecambe.
Or even Golden Chance.
Or Golden Chance.
Just changing names of shows again, as you do every week.
I have to do it.
The only man who runs a wrestling radio show, people, who knows nothing about wrestling.
Exactly.
He's learning.
And by the way, if you're going to insult me on radio, on the Facebook group, can you actually do my name right, please?
Why? What did I call it?
It's one word, not two.
It's all one word?
Yeah, it's all one word.
How pretentious is that?
Very.
He's young and happening and pop and fresh. Word, yo.
I am pop and fresh.
I bet you're the kind of person who starts words with lower case just to be cool.
No. I do that because I'm relatively bad at typing. We will see you next week, ladies and sirs. My name's been SilentMark. That's Evil Lewis.
Yeah, it is.
That's Greg the Truth Lambert.
And this is Mr. Fuji.
And this is Mr. Fuji. See you later.
Bye with a devious one.
Okay, Master Fuji is now manager of my demolition. And every day in my dojo, I will do 5,000 to 10,000